Hi students, I am Praveen Sebastian Paul. In this lecture, we are discussing the administrative structure of NSS at state level. Mainly this topic is subdivided into two, the state NSSL and the state liaison officer. Under the state liaison officer, we discuss the selection of state liaison officer, the composition of the selection committee, the qualification for the post of liaison officer, the tenure and the functions of the liaison officer, and finally the state NSSL and NSS regional centers. Since National Services Scheme is jointly sponsored by the Government of India and the state government, the active participation of the state government is essential for the proper growth and development of NSS program in the state. To achieve this aim, the following administrative structure is implemented at the state level, consisting of the state liaison cell and the state advisory committee. At the state level, there will be a state NSS cell headed by the state liaison officer or SLO. The Government of India extends the cent percentage financial assistance for the establishing of the state NSS cell. The staff pattern of the NSS cell is as follows. For a state having the NSS volunteers from 500 to 1000, a senior NSS program officer of the capital city may be designated as the liaison officer with a honorarium of 250 rupees per month to look after the office. If the state is having NSS volunteer between 1000 and 3000, they will have two staff members for the NSS cell, one assistant director in lecturer scale and an LDC typist. If the state is having NSS volunteers in between 3000 and 10,000, four staff members are provided, a liaison officer, a UDC or an accountant, an LDC or a typist, and a peon. If the state is having NSS volunteer ranging from 10,000 to 30,000, 5 staff members are appointed in the NSS cell, a liaison officer in reader scale, a statistical assistant, a UTC or an accountant, an LDC or a typist, and a peon. If the state is having NSS volunteer between 30,000 and 80,000, the NSS cell will have 7 members, a liaison officer in reader scale, a stenographer, an accountant, a statistical assistant, a UTC, LDC or a typist, and finally a peon. If the state is having above 80,000 NSS volunteers, the NSS cell has 9 staff members, a liaison officer, a stenographer, an accountant, a statistical assistant, and it has 2 UD clerks and 2 LD clerks or typists and 1 peon. The main functions of state NSS cell are to ensure that the budgetary provisions are made for NSS program in the state budget. And secondly, timely allocation of NSS strength to respective universities in the state, timely release of grants to university and college or +2 councils, submission of accounts, statements and program report to the Government of India, convening of meetings of State NSS Advisory Committee from time to time, monitoring of programs through university or +2 councils and in consultation with NSS Regional Center, and finally coordinating with development agencies and departments of NSS program development in the state. And now we are discussing the state liaison officer. The state liaison officer will be the head of the state NSS cell, which is set up in the state secretariat. The state liaison officer will be looking after the major functions of the NSS cell and to get all matters expedited and take follow-up action at appropriate levels in the state for effective implementation of National Services Scheme. And for the selection of the state liaison officer, the information about the post will be circulated among university and colleges and the application will be invited. From this application, the interview will be conducted by the state selection committee constituted for this purpose. And the committee will recommend the name of suitable candidate for the appointment as state liaison officer. The chairperson of this committee is the secretary of nodal department dealing with the National Services Scheme, and there are 2 members. The first member is the commissioner or director of higher education and youth affairs, and the second member is the nominee of the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports. And the qualification required for the post of the state liaison officer is person should have served as program coordinator in the university or program officer in a college at least for 4 years continuously. He or she should possess the academic qualification for being appointed as program coordinator as prescribed by the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, and he should have interest in the youth work in particular and social work in general. And if we are considering the tenure of the state liaison officer, the state liaison officer will be appointed on deputation or on a contract basis for a period of 2 years initially. So the primary appointment will be for 2 years. The period of this deputation may be extended to another 2 years, which is subject to the satisfactory work of the state liaison officer. And the major functions or actions of a state liaison officer is as follows. The state liaison officer should ensure that sufficient budgetary provisions are made well in advance in the budget of the state government as per the financial pattern every year, so that the necessary funds are available from state for the implementation of National Services Scheme. The SLO should ensure that NSS grants are released in time to the university or +2 stage. And the SLO should further ensure that the university or +2 stage release these grants to the college or schools in time. The SLO should further ensure that the grants are utilized by these institutions as per the administrative and policy directives of the Government of India. The SLO will further ensure that the grants are utilized for NSS activities without any diversion. In the case of misuse of this NSS fund, the SLO will also conduct necessary investigation and submit the report to the Department of Youth Affairs, Government of India, along with his recommendations. The SLO will ensure that university or +2 councils maintain separate account in respect of NSS grants and submit the accounts duly audited to the state government in time. The SLO will further ensure that the consolidated account of the grants released to the state government duly audited along with the utilization certificate are sent to the Department of Youth Affairs, New Delhi in time. This will enable the department to release further grants in time. The SLO will ensure that NSS volunteer strength allocated by the Government of India is further reallocated to the university and +2 councils in time. For this, he can call the meeting of the program coordinators of +2 councils or university and the head of the regional center to assess the demand of NSS strength by various university or +2 council in the light of performance of the university or council during the last year. The SLO will also issue the necessary office orders regarding allocation of NSS strength by the 30th May every year. The SLO will ensure the convening of the meeting of the State NSS Advisory Committee periodically as prescribed by the department. The State Advisory Committee should meet twice a year. In the absence of the meeting of the State Advisory Committee, the SLO will ensure that State NSS Coordination Committee meets to review the progress of NSS program during the year. The SLO should ensure the interdepartmental coordination of various state government departments relating to the NSS activity. The SLO will further ensure that the close coordination is maintained between the regional center, the program coordinator, and the training centers. The SLO will convene the meeting for planning, review, and evaluation of NSS activities in the state by inviting the head of the office of NSS regional centers, program officers, program coordinators of university or +2 stage and the training centers. The SLO would also ensure that the program coordinators in the university or +2 councils are appointed by the universities in time as per the terms, conditions and procedure laid down by the Government of India, and no post of program coordinator remain vacant for a long time in any university. The SLO will ensure that the program officers of NSS unit in the college or +2 schools are selected as per terms, conditions and procedure laid down by the department. He or she should also ensure that the teachers selected as program officers are relieved by the institution for their training and orientation organized by the Training Orientation Center or Training Orientation Research Center from time to time. The SLO will ensure that the proper coordination at the state level or inter-university programs like workshops, conferences, state youth awards, pre-camp training for the state contingent of volunteers selected for national level events, etc. The SLO will process and evaluate the reports received from the various university or plus 2 levels of the NSS activities. The SLO will ensure that the submission of the data and periodical report to the program advisor and the department regarding the regular activities, special camping programs, adoption of village, and other relative activities on the prescribed performer. SLO will also bring out suitable NSS literature periodically and publish annual reports of NSS activities conducted in his state. The SLO will make visit to the universities, colleges, schools to assess the implementation of NSS program not exceeding 15 days in a quarter. So these are the major functions of a state liaison officer or SLO. So if we are considering the state of Kerala, the regional directorate of NSS is located at Trivandrum, and Sri G.P. Sajid Babu is a regional director of NSS for the Kerala state. And the PS or secretary dealing with the NSS is Dr. Usha Titus IAS, the principal secretary for the higher education department of Government of Kerala. And Srimati V. Vigneshwari IAS is the state NSS officer in charge for the Kerala state NSS cell. So my dear students, this topic was focusing upon the administrative structure of NSS at state level. Dear students, please go through these assignment questions. Question number 1 is, write about the state NSS cell and its staff pattern. Second one, write notes on the major functions of state NSS cell. Third one, what are the qualifications required for the post of NSS state liaison officer? Fourth one, what is the tenure of NSS state liaison officer? And the fifth one, write in detail about the function of NSS state liaison officer. So my dear student, hope you had understood this topic. On the next lecture, we will discuss about the administrative structure of NSS at university level. Until then, goodbye, thank you, and all the best.